I didn't know how messed up I was inside, because when I started going to therapy, I would actually express more things. I even did certain paintings surrounding the whole situation just to help me, because when I paint, it's therapeutic for myself. And that kind of helped me through, my spiritual practices helped me through. But at the same time, it was still a lot. And it's something I don't wish anybody to see to see someone die. It was a lot.
I am Lieutenant Barbara Smith with the Prince George's Community College Police.
And I'm Cherie Moody.
I'm Dr. Danielle LaShore Bryant, Program Director for the Wellness and Mental Health Center.
We are here for the Community Voices Purple Light Nights edition. Welcome. We had a wonderful, outstanding opening from our featured artist, Zulu Soul. Ladies, what did you think?
Awesome, awesome to be able to witness the type of artistry demonstrated as a result of his trauma. Mind-blowing.
I like that he used his own talent to heal. I mean, most people do unhealthy things, but he chose to express himself and his hurt and his past pain and help himself heal through the painting. I think that's awesome.
And I find it truly amazing that because most men do not like to speak up about domestic violence and their trauma. So the fact that he can do that, that is encouraging to other men out there. So I am looking forward to this show. Dr. Bryant, I hear you got some good things going on in the Wellness Center, so please go on and share.
Thank you, Lieutenant Smith. Indeed, we do. We have a staff member later, in a later segment, who's going to be giving some information about domestic violence and how we can impact that as citizens of this county, as well as citizens of this campus.
Now, Cherie, I know that you were working on a package this summer focusing on Sheriff Carr and the things that he's been doing in the community. Come on, girl, give it up.
It was Stop the Violence Summit. It was amazing. So many great speakers, so many survivors came out to support. But I really love how he says, Sheriff Carr, that he is going to end domestic violence. Okay, end it. Not pause it, not stop it, end it. So I love that. I also had the pleasure of speaking with the mayor of Bowie, Tim Adams. He spoke about how it was important to be compassionate to those going through violence themselves and experiencing it, and also the Family Justice Executive Director, Dr. McCain. She's amazing. They have a great summer camp. You guys are going to you have something in store. Take a look.
The first thing that we want people to understand when they come to the Family Justice Center is that we are holistic and we're client-centered. So we give them an opportunity to come in a very warm, inviting environment and to sit down with an individual that's going to take the time to listen to them and try to understand what their needs are, and then make them aware of all of the resources and services that are available.
You know, domestic violence touches everyone's life. You know, we sometimes want to look at it in just one narrow lens, but we know how important it is. And we know that the sooner we can do intervention, the sooner we can help people, it actually saves lives, not only today, but tomorrow. You know, it's something that people continue to learn. Victims of domestic violence tend to commit domestic violence. and we got to stop the cycle.
I truly believe that we must educate, we must empower, and we must have empathy when we're working with people. We must always keep in mind that we need to educate the survivor, the victim, as well as the abuser. We have to empower them to know that after they've been through a horrific stage, that they can come to something to be more stable.
So with Community Crisis Services, we have the only safe house here in Prince George's County to have the victims fleeing from domestic violence come to a secured, undisclosed location.
Court accompaniment, we have victim advocates. It's myself, I'm a victim advocate. We do accompany our victims of domestic violence and a vast number of other crimes and stuff to court to have that compatibility there with them.
There's several issues that can be involved in domestic violence and family violence. So we want to link everything together. And this conference really is to highlight domestic violence as a whole, not only just intimate partners, but family violence, and to provide those additional resources. So I know you say I may wear a cape, but I'm telling you, we couldn't do this alone. So we have our community partners. We have other organizations, whether it be through county or private, to actually be a part of this. We want to bring in our faith-based organizations so that they can help. We've actually incorporated our schools to make sure that we interact with our youth at a young age so they know what domestic violence looks like. So we're trying to approach this and address it in different avenues, and we're trying to make sure that our citizens are able to grow and thrive, and to make sure that we can focus on domestic violence and eradicating it here in Prince George's County.
Victims of domestic violence have many terms, symptoms, or conditions in common. They can be mild or severe. They can be one of these or all of them, including post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, which involves depression, anxiety, substance abuse, or suicidal thoughts. This next term is used a lot and can be confusing. However, advocates do recognize the following. Gaslighting is a tactic used by abusers to manipulate survivors into doubting themselves and questioning their own memories, instincts, or beliefs. This is a process, and survivors may not totally understand how, when, or why they arrived in this situation, because gaslighting's sole purpose is to disorient and control. And lastly, battered person syndrome. Battered person syndrome is a condition that can include stages such as denial, guilt, and responsibility. Oftentimes, it is the result of gaslighting.
Thank you, Sheriff Carr. We'll be right back.
Diversity here means opportunity.
The dancing of souls of people from different ethnic origins.
Giving different perspectives, learning from each other.
Everyone feels comfortable and free to be their authentic self.
Diversity has to be something we reach for.
Respecting other people's ideas, practices, and beliefs, even if they are totally different from yours.
Ensuring the opportunity for inclusion by everyone.
Algo como para crecer profesionalmente.
Everyone has a seat at the table, everyone is welcome, and we're all happy about it.
It's about inclusion. It's about people from all different backgrounds and all different walks of life.
People whose influences are different. Their experiences are really different. When they come together and they create something new, to me, that's what diversity is.
Did you know that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of domestic violence? Here's the deal. Domestic violence can affect anyone. It doesn't care about age, gender, or background. It can be physical or emotional, and it's not something anyone should have to endure. We get it. Speaking up can be tough. Victims often feel embarrassed or afraid to report it. But guess what? You're not alone, and there are people ready to listen and help. So, if you've ever felt trapped, hurt, verbally abused, or threatened, we want you to know it is not okay. Domestic violence is against the law, and there's no shame in seeking support. Speak up, share your story, and let's put an end to domestic violence.
Welcome back to Community Voices Purple Light Nights edition. Right now I have joining me Miss Bobby Harvard and Arnita Shelton. Bobby, tell me a little bit about what you do.
I'm a special victim assistant with the Office of the Sheriff, working specifically with victims of domestic violence.
Okay. And Nurse Arnita, tell me a little bit about, what you do day to day in your nursing.
Hi. Right now I am the campus nurse here at Prince George's Community College. I've been working here 43 years as the nurse.
Okay. Now, Miss Bobby, I want to get all into some of the things that you do day to day in your new program. So can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes, I can. As the Stay in Touch program, I have been working with victims of domestic violence for many years. And when you work with victims of domestic violence, you generally learn some of the things they need. And I noticed that they needed a support system, as well as they needed to stay in touch with someone. So that's when the Stay in Touch program was birthed into existence. I envisioned that victims would come together, sit around a table, talk about their experiences, what they're feeling, the stress of the day, in a safe environment. And so in 2017, we developed a program called the Stay in Touch at the Family Justice Center. And we started running a support group with the motto, your life, your choice, your journey. And we encourage them to embrace that new journey, a journey without violence. But what we find also is when a survivor completes the program, they want to stay. They stay in the program because they get the support that they need to continue the journey. And some of the benefits of coming to the support group is that they will sit around, they talk, sometimes they may vent, sometimes they may cry, sometimes they laugh, and sometimes we start seeing that healing. We see that person transition from victim to survivor.
And you give them a place of belonging.
Absolutely.
I like that. Now, Nurse Arnita,
yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you do day to day with domestic violent victims? If they come to you, or if they need support, what is it that you do for them?
Yes, at now the University of Maryland, Prince George's Hospital, I was a sexual assault forensic examiner nurse, and the clients would come to me with police usually. I would do their complete exam, and that included their story. I had to talk to them, find out where it happened, how it happened, who did it. I had to do the exam, which was very intense. I had to get evidence, and we had to take pictures, and also had to go to court. The whole process took hours, at least 5, a lot of paperwork. And unfortunately, I did a lot of children. I did more children than adults. And people would ask me, why did I do that? And I don't even know why. It was just something that birthed with me. I always told them that it was not their fault, because a lot of them had a lot of guilt, saying if I didn't go to the bar, if I didn't go with him. So after the exam, we usually had a relationship, and that stayed in, and that's when we usually introduced them to the Family Life Center.
And I hear the passion in your voice, and I'm going to say, once they start the process with you, you're there through finish to make sure and be that support.
Yes, I was really the first. After they go through the emergency room process, because they did have to have vital signs taken, I was their first contact. So as long as I got a good relationship with them when they walked in the door, especially the children, they had to trust me to tell me what happened. And I would just go through the whole thing. And while I did my exam, sometimes I would tell my story. So we would have a good relationship, so I could get all my information that I needed, so when we go to court, there would be a good ending to it.
And there you have it. When we start a process, here you have 2 expertise right here talking about how they support victims and the resources that are available to survivors, victims, right here, right now, ready to let you know we are here for you to support you, and you are not alone when you are faced with domestic violence, mental health, and trauma.
The Office of the Sheriff continues to assist victims of domestic violence in a comprehensive manner. Specifically, we serve peace and protective orders throughout Prince George's County. An interim protective order is issued by a commissioner and is good until the next court date. A temporary protective order, or TPO, remains in effect no more than 7 days. The judge can extend this, if needed, to 6 months to serve the abuser or for good cause. And a final protective order stays in effect for up to 1 year and can be extended to 2 years. Remember, peace and protective orders are issued and then registered through VINE, which stands for Victim Information Notification, every day. Once an order is served, our personnel enters the order into the VINE's database. This has to be completed within 2 hours of the respondent being served, and the victims are alerted when the respondent is served or for any updates in the system.
The Foundation Board of Prince George's Community College stands ready to enhance the student and learning experiences by increasing the resources that will enable our family to grow and prosper. Excellence starts with us, with our talented faculty and staff, with our resilient students, with our extended community. Together, we are PGCC Strong.
Scan to give to Prince George's Community College.
Hello, my name is Therese Edelman, and I'm a dual enrolled student at Prince George's Community College, majoring in Information Technology and General Studies. Taking college classes as a 9th grader sounded intimidating, as I had never done anything like it before, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. Despite the differences, I found a solid support system during dual enrollment. From my peers to my counselor and even the professors, it felt like a community rallying behind me. It's not a hand-holding experience. They won't let you slide with late submissions. It's not just about piling up credits, but a strategic move towards boosting your high school GPA, especially with the dual credit aspect. It's like having an ace up your sleeve when you need that extra push. Plus, the beauty is in the transferable college credits. Join us at Prince George's Community College today.
My why is my students. I am a committed faculty member, and I show up every day ready to ensure that my students learn. Students are why we're here. They come to us almost like containers ready to be filled. I'm always ready for that opportunity.
Scan to give to Prince George's Community College.
Hello and welcome back. I am joined here today with Monique from the Family Justice Center, Michael, a mental health counselor here at Prince George's Community College, and our program coordinator of NAMI, Florence. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure to be here. So we were talking a little bit about how people should identify as a victim or a survivor. It's a big debate in the community. A lot of people don't know what to say, and sometimes they correct themselves. I mean survivor, victim. So what is it? Is it victim or survivor? Monique?
I would definitely say it's a survivor. Our organization, our goal is to change lives and restore hope. And if you can garner the strength up within yourself to come and identify, I need help, I need services, I need resources, you are not a victim of anything. You are surviving. And not only are you surviving, you are thriving.
Ooh. Okay. All right, Michael, victim or survivor?
I would definitely say survivor. It empowers the individual to let them know that although they did have that experience does not define them, and they're able to move forward and you know, hopefully recover from that experience.
Okay, Florence?
Oh, definitely survivor.
Okay.
Yes, especially with NAMI, because I'm program coordinator for the Prince George's County affiliate. We encourage individuals that are seeking or wanting to learn a little bit more about mental health services or just want to be empowered themselves. So it's about no stigma. So we don't want to attach anything that would make an individual feel like there's a problem. So victim, definitely not. Survivor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Michael, I have to ask you, because you're the man on, you know, you're here. We don't want to single anyone out, but in the Black and brown community, we often find that a lot of men don't want to come and get help, but mostly abusers. Do you encourage abusers to come talk and to get help and seek help from you?
Absolutely. A lot of these abusers, it's an example that was taught to them at such a young age, and that's a learned behavior. So being able to see that, and whether it's, you know, within their own community or within their own family, they repeat some of those same behaviors. They don't know necessarily how to stop or how to, you know, do anything differently. So I definitely would encourage them to come and talk to us. We can discuss conflict resolution skills. We can talk about de-escalation techniques. We can talk about anger management, which is a huge issue within that community. So just being able to talk with them, and them also having someone to lean on and have that third party, non-judgmental person there is going to be huge for them.
And I think a lot of people might also be afraid that they get in trouble. Would they be getting in trouble if they're coming to you for a past incident that happened?
So for a past incident, no. If you are over the age of 18, unfortunately, we cannot necessarily report you to anyone because you are technically considered an adult. We do encourage, you know, positive and healthy behaviors from both the survivor and the abuser. But technically, no, we would not be able to report you.
And you all have 8 sessions?
Yes, you get 8 free sessions per semester. And we also have a woman therapist as well. So you have myself, another woman therapist. So if you have a preference, you're more than welcome.
Oh, well. Okay, you better not be shy. All right, Miss Florence. Now, I heard that you are the first NAMI in the state to be on a college campus. That is not by accident. That is because you're amazing, right?
Well, I'd like to take credit for that, but we have an amazing president, actually, that will be the president of the NAMI on campus. So, which I find amazing that we don't have actually campus clubs in the state of Maryland, given the fact that we have a lot of mental health concerns in this area, especially in Prince George's County. So I'm very proud that PGCC will be the first NAMI club on campus.
Now, Sheriff Carr mentioned that there are a lot of mental health issues that stem from domestic violence situations.
Sure.
So NAMI will be helping people that may be going through PTSD or things like that?
So NAMI on Campus Club is for students that want to get involved about mental health, education, and support and all of that type of stuff that's associated with NAMI. But it's student geared. It's really geared towards student activities and outreach, education, and advocacy. The same type of things that we are at a national level, but it's more student activity led.
Okay, Michael, quickly, are students taking advantage of these services? And how many of them have actually are in a domestic violent relationship or a survivor?
Well, students are definitely taking advantage of our counseling services here on campus. We promote them through our counseling services email. You can reach me directly at my email. We're at different table events, so we're constantly promoting, our services. In terms of the domestic abuse survivors, we do have some that will eventually come and talk to us about what's going on. A lot of times you'll have survivors, it takes them a little while to kind of warm up and be open and vulnerable and honest about what's going on. So they may wait until like the 7th or the 8th session to actually inform us what's going on. But we at the we at the Counseling Center, we do very good at, you know, kind of prompting them and encouraging them to be open and vulnerable and talking with us about what's going on.
Monique, how do you want people to mostly take advantage of the Family Justice Center services?
At the Family Justice Center, we can provide services to survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and elder abuse. So if you have experienced any form of trauma, please come see us. Our motto is changing lives and restoring hope, and we would love to help you do that to unlock the survivor within you.
Michael, what is your hope for students who are going through this journey or path?
My hope is that they're encouraged to come and speak with us, that they feel the need to be vulnerable, and most importantly, that they no longer feel so isolated in their journey, to know that there are other people that are going through, unfortunately, the same thing that they are, or that have already gone through some of that as well, and that they can be an example for some of those individuals as well.
Wow. And Florence, lastly, the club is going to do its debut, NAMI.
Yes.
We're going to have people running to the table to sign up, right?
Right.
What is your hope for the community of survivors?
We are a resource, and if they are experiencing any type of mental health condition, or they're experiencing issues with mental health as a result of some of the things that they've gone through with domestic violence, and they want to get support, or if they want to just learn a little bit more about our organization, we're here. We're the largest nonprofit organization with mental health, and we are a resource, and they can learn a little bit more about us, but our motto is you are not alone, so you don't have to feel stigmatized about that.
Well, you all, I hope you know that there's hope. You're not alone. Don't be afraid. You are a survivor. Seek out help.
Domestic or family violence happens when one person in a relationship uses violent or abusive behavior to control another. These acts affect not only the victim, but everyone who resides in the home, especially children. They are the unseen victims. As a result of the abuse, children can suffer from a variety of behaviors, including anxiety, depression, poor sleeping and eating habits, withdrawn behavior, acts of violence or aggression. While it may be easy to spot physical signs of abuse, signs of emotional or psychological abuse may be more difficult. Signs include jealous behavior, controlling what their partner wears or how their partner spends money, demeaning talk and controlling their partner's friendships. These takeaway terms have been brought to you by me, Sheriff John Carr of the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff.
When we invest in Prince George's Community College, we invest in ourselves by building a better community. We can make Prince George's Community College the economic engine for our county. Overall, I think the college creates a pathway for change. So I will always support the college, and I will always care about it.
Scan to give to Prince George's Community College.
Are you looking for a winning college experience at the fraction of a cost? Come to Prince George's Community College and join our Mid-Atlantic Championship Owls. Score high, shoot your shot, and save money. Earn credits, certs, or a degree at PGCC. Be a part of our winning team. Come to an open house or register now at pgcc.edu. Championship vibes only.
Prince George's Community College, to me, is the epitome of Prince George's County. It is everything that you want it to be. They have been the heartbeat of this county for decades. And what they're doing in terms of gearing people to get ready for job training or continuing their education, or just if you're someone who wants to exercise and be active in the community, that's still the place to go. To me, they are Prince George's County at its absolute best.
Scan now to give to Prince George's Community College.
I want to bear witness today of the power of PGCC.
I taught at Suitland High School, and they needed somebody in the evening to do some things, so that's how I got into this. So I moved from a part-time person to president, which is pretty good.
I remember community college that gave me what I needed before. Why can't it do it again?
The reason we exist is for the residents of our county and certainly those of the region who choose to begin their education here at Prince George's Community College.
The work you do here preparing students to compete, the economy of the future is real, it matters.
You know, the president said, listen, we want to spend some time with your best and your brightest. Where should we go? We here, y'all.
Hello, I'm Dr. Danielle LaShore-Bryant, Program Director for the Wellness and Mental Health Center here at PGCC. I'm joined today by Donika Jackson, a survivor of domestic violence. Thank you for coming, Donika.
Thank you. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Excellent. Just have a few questions to ask to give the audience an idea of your experience. Can you share with us what your journey has been with in overcoming domestic violence?
Well, I think the key for me has always been in being able to identify what domestic violence is. Americans, by definition, tend to be very tribalist, and they tend to hold to their own sacred views as opposed to fact. And so what happens is people have an idea of what domestic violence is, and they think it's only that thing. They think if you're not being beat, that you're not a domestic violence victim. They think if someone's not holding back money, you're not a domestic violence victim. They don't necessarily classify child abuse as domestic violence, even though child abuse usually happens in where? The home, which will make it domestic violence. In my case, my first memories of any man was of them striking my mother, whether it be my father or my stepfather. That is trauma from a very young age. That is very much domestic violence, but I was raised to believe it was not. My first, like I said, that very first memory, I remember being 11, 12, 13 years old, and my father would reach for me and I would recoil because I immediately thought he was going to strike me like he has struck my mother all those years before. And the same thing with my stepfather. So I think it's really important to understand and be able to identify what domestic violence is, and don't let other people tell you what it is. Find the resources, get on the internet, do the research to figure out what it is, and don't allow people to put you in a basket because your domestic violence doesn't look like theirs. No one gets to tell you what your journey is, and no one gets to tell you how you feel about the way someone's treating you. And I said, for my journey, it was identifying it and then taking back ownership of my own power.
Powerful statement. Okay, and the idea of aligning what we like to classify, because we're very compartmentalized in terms of that's child abuse, that's domestic violence. Wonderful way to blend that to say that it can all represent the same type of abusive situation.
Absolutely, and you don't have to be the object of the domestic violence to be a victim of domestic violence.
Indeed.
If you watch if a child watches his parent, either male or female, being beaten repeatedly, that trauma stays with them. And
Indeed.
We know little T and big T trauma are one of the big issues that are facing a lot of kids these days. We've seen a huge increase in the domestic violence after COVID and things of that nature when people are at home with children. And so we need to really dig into these issues and figure out, one, what's stemming the domestic violence, and the other, how do we resolve those things? One other thing that came to mind when you were talking about that is, also in my life, I was a television reporter, and I covered Fort Hood. And I covered Fort Hood when they caught not Osama bin Laden, but Saddam Hussein. And when those men came back around Fort Hood, the rise in domestic violence cases was astronomical because they were in a war situation. They came back and they had PTSD. So they also have to understand what goes into domestic violence, because all domestic violence people aren't necessarily bad people.
Bad people, exactly.
And we want to, on both sides. So we need to get to the root of
Correct.
that. I think that's the important thing, but we demonize.
Yes.
And I think that's a big problem.
Yes, okay, very good. You touched on this a bit. Can you say a little bit more about what type of resources were available to you to help you overcome the situation?
Well, my situation's a tad bit different. Being that my mother is a paranoid schizophrenic and she's got some other health issues, we were afforded a lot of resources. But I was also a naturally inquisitive child. The first thing you go to is, if you're someone that's young, you go to teachers, you go to your your priest or your pastor, someone that you can trust, your doctor. There are people that are legally required to report abuse, and you need to do that. Also, seek out friends and family members. I was, I'm, very proud to be alumni of Howard University, HU, and one of the things they did very well there is during our orientation, make us aware of some of these pitfalls, make us aware of some of the resources that were available for our mental health. And that was 20 plus years ago that I started Howard, so it's a lot better now. But it's about finding those niche opportunities, going to the events, like if there's an event on campus where you meet other people like you, and sharing your experience. The most important thing, I think, of all of that when you're reaching out to those sources is you've got to get rid of the shame and the guilt associated with it, because you're not going to look out if you think it's your fault. You're not going to look out if you think it's, you brought this on yourself. You see it, there's obesity runs rampant in women who have suffered from domestic violence. We have suffered from deservability issues. All these things go into the decision-making processes, so you have to be ready. And the other thing I would tell the people who are supporting domestic violence people, they have to be ready. You can't be ready because you're not living that experience. And I think those are the key tidbits of information that I've collected over the years from reaching out to individuals like you and the resources that PGCC offers on campus, reaching out to Howard University. NAMI is another one that I went to that is a wonderful resource. I volunteer now, I was until I started this job, was volunteering for a NAMI in Houston, Texas, and finding those kind of resources. And when you start making those connections, what I found is the human spirit or God or whatever your power is going to lean into you and hand you back another fig leaf. So when you lean in to help yourself, someone is going to lean into helping you back. And that's been my experience. And I love that about this community.
Okay. Right.
I'm sorry, did I answer your question?
You sure did.
Okay.
That and more. So, it saves me from asking an additional follow-up.
Right,
so I appreciate that. Thank you. One of the things that you identified in your answer was this idea of wellness and well-being. How do you cultivate that for yourself?
Identifying that you matter. We put everything, especially when, and I'm not alienating men, I'm thinking from my perspective, I was a working single mother who had 2 jobs. I was going to grad school. So I did not put my mental well-being, my mental health in front of anybody, because as mothers, we immediately go to taking care of our babies. Then we want to do well at our jobs because we're dealing with all of the pressures of being a woman, in my case, being a Black woman in a predominantly white industry. All these are the pressures that are going on, so we don't do that. And I didn't have a breakdown, but I had a period of time where I had to take a step back because I couldn't do it any longer. My Superwoman cape fell off and I was stomping on it on the ground, and I was hurting everyone around me because I was hurting. And so I had to take that moment to figure out what was causing my hurt and then address that and prioritize my well-being, my health, and my safeguards, my boundaries. One thing domestic violence victims don't have is boundaries because they've always been violated. And so you have a hard time doing that. You have a hard time setting up a boundary because you're afraid if you set that boundary and someone crosses it, they're going to be enraged at you, and then you're going to be struck, or you're going to be hurt, or you're going to be neglected again. It's a cycle. I mean, it's very duplicitous in the way it weaves its way into your brain. Noah meets somebody on the first day and falls in love, and they get beat that day. Noah meets somebody, they marry them 5 years later, and they find out they're molesting their child. It doesn't happen that way. It happens slowly over, small little breadcrumbs. And so I think those are the things that are important that motivate me, is identifying those things, and then moving, making sure you're moving. If your physical mind and body are not aligned, you are not going to be aligned. You've got to move. You've got to be engaged with your body. And I'm reading a book now called The Body Remembers. And it's incredibly traumatic, but it really does get to the heart that even though you move on, your body doesn't. It remembers the trauma, and it goes along with you. And all you do is build on top of that trauma and build on top of that trauma, and so forth and so on. So I make sure I go to therapy. I'm in therapy to this day twice a week. When I've had issues or bouts that I've needed medication, I've taken it. There's a big stigma around they just medicate you up. Guess what? They've made such huge advances in this area.
And psychotropic medications?
Right.
Yes.
They absolutely have. And if it can allow you to sleep, so you're not having dreams of being in Vietnam and waking up paralyzed. Because I have parasomnia dreams where I can't breathe and I'm paralyzed in my dream. These medicines have given me the tools to be able to navigate that. and get to the hurt, because you can't heal the trauma, you can't heal the violence of domestic violence unless you identify, relive the hurt and live with it. You've got to understand till it doesn't have power over you.
Yes, you do have to go through to get through.
And isn't that, and that's one of the things, and I want people to know you can do it. It's not gonna be easy, it's gonna be painful, but you absolutely can do it. So those are the things that I think I focused on and bringing that alignment together. But the number one thing is just to value myself and to know that I'm worth it, that I belong to be here. What is it? There is that saying, it took me years of throwing up everything I thought I knew about myself till it's one of my favorite quotes ever, and I tore it up. I didn't say it correctly, but you know the sentiment is there.
Indeed, almost the idea of breaking yourself down to build yourself back up and being that stronger version of who you are.
Absolutely.
And paying attention to that inner voice, trusting that inner healer to lead you to where you need to be.
Absolutely. It's amazing when you lean into the solution. I got a sense of peace. But like I said, my reason for being here with you today is I want to use my pain to try to help somebody else. I think God gives you pain so you can create empathy, so you can relate to other individuals. So hopefully someone can listen to what I've been through, and we can go forth and go forward. And it's
excellent.
And yeah, that's it. I just want to do my little part.
Yes. Well, I think you have. In fact, I know you have.
Thank you.
This has been a very powerful segment, and I am assured that anyone listening will be able to take a tidbit or two from what you've said and be able to apply it and have a sense of peace, but also have that movement that you talked about, moving that dial a bit so that healing can occur. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for doing the thankless work, because what you're doing is so important. You are saving the minds and the spirits of the next generation, and that is an amazing, amazing life legacy to leave behind. So.
Okay. Well, with that being said, that was unexpected. I hope they edit that out. With that being said, thank you so much for being here today. Again, I am Dr. Danielle LaShore Bryant, Program Director, here with Donika Jackson. We appreciate you watching. And again, if you see something, say something. Those in our community deserve to be heard, deserve to be saved, deserve to have the help they're looking for.
Thank you, Dr. Bryant, for that segment. Now, let's check out an interview from our artist, Zulu Soul.
So, I want to say about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. It's kind of hard to remember because I really try not to remember it. One of my students was murdered at the metro station. 3 years later, another student right in front of the school was stabbed up, same thing. When that happened, I just kind of blacked out, and I was like, I need to take time off just to deal with my own mental health, start to go to therapy. Had a therapist for a long time, still do. You know, it's not a good feeling at all. It really isn't. And when I even talk about it, again, like I said, I do my best not to. But if you ever experience anything similar to that, you got to get help. It's good to speak and talk it out and express yourself. And it doesn't have to be through a whole audience. However, if you have one person, whether it's a therapist or somebody that you can just let it go, don't hold it in. For me, when I'm painting, I believe that it's a healing mechanism, okay? The energy that I'm putting into the painting, I get that energy back when I'm finished painting it, you know? I put good energy into it, something that can heal somebody. It can be for many different reasons. And I always say, anybody who buys a painting from me, it's because your spirit was speaking to the spirit of the painting. That's the only way. You ain't just buy it just because, that's nice and I like the colors. No, you really got to take your time, and the pieces really speak to that person's spirit. So they see it, they take their time, and they get it, you know? And I mean, they get it, not just they purchase it, but they get the piece. They really get the energy from the piece. It'll be an image that may pop in my head, or it may be a picture of something that I've taken a picture of during my travels, and the pose of that image could be speaking to the energy of something that has happened, you know, that was tragic or sad, you know. And what I do is, before I even do the painting, I do say a prayer to myself about what I want to happen when I finish. You know, what I want to get out of this, you know, what energy I want to be promoted from this piece. And so I love my music. I always have my music on, and I play different songs for different things. So I focus my energy on whatever healing that this piece is speaking to me to do. That's what I focus on. And I always do my prayers before I do the painting, because it just helps me to get through it. And for me, when I'm painting, I just get so locked in. It's almost like I wouldn't say in trance, but nothing else matters. I'm just like this, like vision, like tunnel vision, and I'm just getting it in. For a long time, I didn't really do much painting after the first one. And I was trying to figure how come I'm not painting? You know, what's going on? And then I really had to take time and look at myself. I'm like, okay. But when I actually did, I would try to paint things that were pleasant. You understand? I wasn't trying to paint anything that was angry or depicting that energy. I wanted to paint something that was pleasant, that brought joy to me, you know, or that brought joy to someone else. And that was the way I would do it. It would be more so, painting something that brought joy to me. That's what I would do. I continue to promote unity, no violence. We don't need to do that, because it just turns out to, you know, death, and we don't need to be taken out before it's our time. So I do have a picture of the first young man on, like, as soon as you walk out of my door, his picture's right there. And everybody's like, who's that? That's your son? Who is this? And I always remind them who it is and what happened. And, you know, a lot of times when they hear that, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I heard about that. Okay. So I think me honoring them that way, of having this picture there, just like a small memorial for myself. And it always reminds me every time I see him, every time I see that picture, okay, this is why I'm doing this work too. This is why I continue to teach. This is why I'm still here, and empowering you all so that you all don't have to take those routes of being out there in the streets and fighting and all of that nonsense. I don't like all that. And I express that to my students, and they know that too. So that's the way I honor them. For anyone struggling with mental health, number one, I would say you need to get help. You need to have someone who you can talk to let them know what's going on with you. When you keep things inside of you and you don't express it, you don't say anything, then it does nothing but just eat you up on the inside. And eating you up on the inside can be physically, it can be mentally, it can be spiritually, but all of those things eventually can turn into dis-ease, turn into disease inside of your body, because you're allowing all of this toxic energy inside of you to just eat you up. And that's not good. So I would say definitely reach out or have someone who you can talk to. Use what is at your disposal. If you're at a school and you have MHP, you know, mental health practitioners there, go talk to them. And sometimes you may have a teacher that you feel real close to, that you can say whatever you need to say, and they give you good advice. Talk to them. But you cannot, I repeat, do not hold it in. Don't keep it to yourself. You have to let someone know. You have to express it. You have to get it out. Because as long as you hold it in, the more complacent you are with that energy and what is happening to you, and you won't change. You won't do anything different. You'll think this is normal, and this is how you live your life. But it's not normal. So if you feel that something or someone is abusing you, then you have to speak up for yourself. If you don't have someone that you can talk to that can speak up for you, you got to speak up for yourself. That's the only way to do it. If you stay silent, then it will continue. And you have to stand up for yourself no matter what. No matter who you are, whatever age, you have to stand up for yourself, because abuse at any level is not good.
Wow, that was such a powerful interview. Enough is enough when it comes to domestic violence. Domestic violence has no place in our community, in your home, in your friend's home, your family's home. Love on your loved ones. Tell your sisters, tell your brothers, tell your husbands, your sons, your daughters. Domestic violence is unacceptable. Mental health and trauma is real. Step up. Be supportive to those in need. Let them know that they can come to you. You are a safe place, and you are against domestic violence.
And help us put an end to domestic violence by liking, sharing, and commenting on this episode.
Indeed. If you see something, please say something.
Thank you for watching Community Voices Purple Light Nights. That's the end of our show. Bye-bye.